The third problem told you that you have a triangle, and two of the angles are 3x plus 20 and 2x minus 10, okay, in degrees, and you're asked to find the angles. Now, there's no picture, but I want to emphasize that you really need to draw a picture. If a picture can be drawn, you need to draw it. So you need to take the words, translate them into pictures. Okay, so here's a triangle, okay? And we put the angle 3x plus 20 here, 2x minus 10 here. Okay, well, you're trying to find the value of x, but you don't have anything to go by until you know the third triangle, and then you can say, well, or the third angle, this angle plus this angle plus this angle has to equal 180 degrees. Well, okay. Now, I'll warn you in advance, there's a problem with this problem. It actually can't be solved. And we'll see why, but we'll see how you might proceed to rigorously convince yourself that it can't be solved. Okay, so this angle has to be 180 degrees minus the sum of these two angles. So it's got to be 180 degrees minus the quantity 2x minus 10 plus the quantity 3x plus 20. And we close that set of parentheses. Okay, then we simplify this. Now, this is the same expression that we got on the first problem. Okay, I've used the same expressions for the angles just for the practice test, so we wouldn't have to worry too much about that simplification. So what's in parentheses here simplifies to 5x plus 10. 2x and 3x is 5x. Negative 10 and 20, just as before, gives you 10. Then we subtract this quantity from 180 degrees. So we're going to have minus 5x. Well, that's going to appear here because there are no other x's. Then we have minus 10. And, of course, 180 minus 10 is 170. So we have 170 degrees minus 5x. So now we have three angles of the triangle. And it looks like we ought to be able to write down an equation that says this angle plus this angle plus this angle equals 180 degrees. Okay, well, perfectly good equation. Now let's see what happens if we simplify this equation. Well, the left-hand side becomes, we've got 3x here, and we've got 2x from here, and we've got minus 5x from here, and then we got plus 20 minus 10 plus 170, and that's got to equal 180. Okay, well, let's simplify that. 3x and 2x is 5x, minus 5x is 0. Okay, so we don't have any x's. Something's going on here because we usually have an x. If we get rid of all the x's, it's going to be hard to solve for x. And over here, we have 20, negative 10, and 170. Well, 20 minus 10 is 10. Add that to 170, we get 180. And the equation becomes 180 equals 180. Well, that's true. And it appears to be true no matter what the value of x. So this is true for any x. So any x at all could satisfy the equation. Now, not just any x would give you good angles here. If x is 500, then you get angles that are way bigger than any angle that can be in a triangle. So there's a certain range of x values, and that'd be the range of x values for which this plus this is less than 180 degrees. So we could say that 3x plus 20 plus 2x minus 10 is less than 180. And if we solve that, we get 5x less than 170. so that x is less than 34, okay? And any x less than 34, any positive x less than 34 would give you that. You could also get negative x's. So, you know, these two have to add up to greater than 0, but you can do that and find x's. Now, this is way beyond the scope of what I would expect you to do, but I mention it simply to tell you how I would grade a problem of this nature. And in this case, you've only got two angles out of the triangle, and these angles could add up to anything as long as it's positive. So there really is not a way to give a specific x. Okay, you could make up any number that gives you two angles that might appear in this triangle, and you'd have a right answer. But what I would expect you to see is I would expect to see that you've drawn the triangle, labeled it, okay? And just drawing the triangle and labeling it, I would probably give you at least half credit on the problem. Then some kind of reasonable attempt to either say, well, but there's not enough information there with some justification, or to do something like this, where you say, okay, well, the third angle has to be this. And just to digress, I could easily give you these two angles and ask you what the expression is for the third angle. And I could even tell you what the third angle is. So you might have to do something like this in order to solve a perfectly valid problem that I could ask that has a real solution. Okay, so if you could get this, you know, I'd get you up to at least 7 points, maybe even 8. And if you write down the equation, I'd give you full credit. And then if you observe that the equation has no solution, I'd probably give you a couple of extra points. Okay, but the point here is that you should be able to draw the thing and assemble your information in some way.